thing we said last night, man. We said it's great when you count on others and they count on you. That way, victory is produced by everybody, all right? And that's what tonight was, man. Fast, physical. We said anybody, anywhere, any motherfucking time. All right? So we did what we came to do, all right? So there'll be a number of game balls that will be issued out, I'm sure, tomorrow. But there's one motherfucker that ain't leaving this city without one. Cliff! On to the motherfucking next. Yeah! Let's go, get in.
Oh! Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. Our guest should be here very, very soon. They had to make an emergency trip to Walmart for his family, which nobody is going to be looking anyway towards. But tonight is a celebratory recap of the Commanders' ass-whooping on the Arizona Cardinals, 42-14, which coincidentally is the title of tonight's episode. The Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. Paul, I don't know about you, but throughout the 2012 season, I was wasted, bro. Like we were partying a lot. It was like a blur, But yeah. I'll just say this: this season so far has been 10 times frickin' better, dude. I mean, Jaden Daniels breaking records. Highest completion percentage at 82.1 through 4 games, higher than any other quarterback in history. The only quarterback through 4 games that had something similar was Tom Brady in 2007 when he had 79% completion percentage. I mean, this is absolutely masterful what we were seeing tonight. I mean, what are you feeling right now? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's crazy that you mentioned 2012 and all the excitement, because I was literally, as you were saying that, just thinking back, and I was just like, we really were just every Sunday was just a good time, having fun, partying. But back then it was there was I felt like it was more explosive plays that were happening, but it was also more explosive plays on both sides of the ball, where the offense would have explosive plays, but then the defense would give up all these explosive plays. Whereas I feel like this year, just today, I would say they didn't give up that many explosive plays, or any explosive plays for that matter. But I would say that this year it's not really a lot of explosive plays, but it's more of just a lot of consistency, a lot of just smash mouth football, a lot of fun, kind of funny. Ironically, when Ron Rivera got here, he said we got to study this history and repeat this history. Well, this history was about offensive line play, trenches, and smash mouth football, and that's kind of what we're back to right now. And just to see this is a thing of beauty. Being a Washington fan, watching football on Sundays is fun again. I mean, it's all fun, it's all smiles, it's all cheers in the DMV right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Jaden Daniels, 26 of 30, 233 yards passing, 1 touchdown with 1 interception, 8 carries for 47 yards, and a touchdown. I think Schlereth did a really good job at being an analyst, a commentator for this game. He really showed about Jaden Daniels, because he repeatedly talked about how Jaden, when he does escape out of the pocket, his eyes don't go low. He's not just going down and looking and running. He is looking upfield, trying to find somebody that's open. But in the same breath, when he is running, he is getting out of bounds like you want him to. He is sliding. He had that beautiful slide earlier tonight, which is fantastic. But using his legs to create opportunities. That one flick to Zach Ertz that he had, I thought was beautiful. And then the pickups on third down. Third down for this game, they were 9 of 12 on third down. And it seemed like it didn't matter what yardage it was, they were able to pick up and move the chains, which goes into the time of possession. Washington with 33 minutes and 22 seconds over the Cardinals with 26 minutes and 38 seconds. They did exactly what they needed to. I felt like Marvin Harrison took a nap in that second half. Everybody and their mother thought that he was going to torch us all day long. He only had 45 yards receiving with a touchdown. But credit to the defense, man. On third down for Arizona, they were 4 of 11. Dorrance Armstrong coming out, 5 tackles, a sack and a half, and with 3 quarterback hits. I don't know what's more surprising. So I'll ask the question to you: what's more surprising, the offensive output or the defense actually being able to get off the field multiple times in this game?
Oh, it's definitely got to be the defense getting off the field multiple times this game. Just because, I mean, I'm not going to say this is going to be a consistent thing, but we've pretty much since week one, even though like week one was kind of like a beatdown per se, like the score would say otherwise, but for the most part, Tampa Bay dominated us that whole game. But we were pretty consistently moving the ball up and down the field. It was just a matter of finding our identity on offense, finding ourselves, and kind of finding what works and what doesn't work. And from week one on, it's kind of we've been putting points on the board. We've been moving the ball between the 20s, and even in the red zone, it's just again 6 trips to the red zone against the Giants. You shoot yourself in the foot all those times. You don't get touchdowns. So points on offense has been like, which is crazy to say about a Washington offense. Points and offensive output is not even the least of the worries right now. I'm surprised that the defense stepped up today. I was one of those people that thought it was going to be a shootout. I thought it was going to be Kyler Murray doing what Kyler Murray does, which is running around the pocket, creating with his legs, getting outside, throwing Marvin Harrison open, throwing Wilson open, guys like that. And to your point, the defense, man, like if this defense just plays any type of football like they did today going forward, like with this offensive output what they were having right now, like this team is going to be scary. And I'm not even expecting them to be like this consistent on defense because obviously they're going to play better quarterbacks, they're going to play better offenses throughout the year. But if they can just get a stop or two here and there, and this offense can keep converting on third downs, keep winning the time of possession, get a turnover or two like they did today. Yeah, I think only the sky's the limit for this team going forward.
Absolutely. And then Frankie Louvu having the wherewithal to be able to rip that ball out to get that turnover, that fumble late in the game.
Yep.
That was awesome because that's exactly what this defense truly needs is that kind of momentum swing as a defense because right now the offense is humming. They are firing on all cylinders. It seemed like Brian Robinson, 21 carries, 101 yards and a touchdown with 3 catches and 12 receiving yards, but averaged 4.8 on the ground. And I thought that was it was really surprising to see that stat line because in the game, it didn't seem like a 101 yard kind of game. But this offensive line is able, like, it's crazy to see because last year and years before, how many times did we see them running the football and it would be hitting a brick wall? These guys are moving defenders around. Look, obviously Arizona had some injuries on the defensive line and whatever have you. But they kind of knew the blueprint for Washington coming into this game, and that is the ground and pound. We want to be able to move the football through the ground. And Washington was able to do it. They were able to pick up the 5 to 6 yards to create those short down and distances and then convert on those third downs. It's amazing to see this offense humming the way it is because that running game is monumental for Jaden Daniels in this offense, and you're really starting to see it blossom in front of your eyes. I said it after that Giants game. That last drive was the start of something like there's not many teams in this league that can sit there and say, when it comes down to the crunch time and clutch time, that we feel confident that our guy will be able to make the plays and get you down the field and get you the points that you need. And ever since then, this offense has been screaming down the field and nobody can stop them. I mean, that was an absolute ass-whooping what they did today. Every time that Arizona needed a stop, they couldn't get it.
Yep. Nah, so to your point about the running game, and Mark Slater brought it up again. He played with Anthony Lynn in Denver and won a
Yeah.
Super Bowl with him. And Anthony Lynn, everyone knows coming into this, everyone knows around the league, fans, everything, whatnot. They know that Anthony Lynn is kind of like a running back guru, a run game guru. And I think he should get a whole bunch of credit because the schemes that he's put in with this run game, because to your point, in the past, it would just be Brian Robinson running into a wall of people, bullying his way for 2, maybe a yard and a half, 2 yards, 3 yards.
Right.
Every once in a while, he might break out the pile, get you like 5 to 8 to 10 yards. But it was never like the explosive runs. It was never like the wide open, like you can run a train through holes type of stuff that we've seen through these first 4 weeks. And I think it has to go with Bobby Johnson, who he gets a lot of credit as well because of all the coaches coming into here. A lot of people had questions about him just due with his record with New York and what New York's offensive line looked like. As you can see, I would put that on the talent in New York and not on the coaching in New York. And I would say that
Oh, there you go.
Anthony Lynn has been major as well, implementing the run scheme and the run game with Bobby Johnson, with Cliff Kingsbury in the offense. And it just comes down to Jaden Daniels as well, because when you got to defend the quarterback in the run game, 11 on 11 football, the defense is always going to have eyes on Jaden Daniels. And we saw it in 2012 with RG3 and Alfred Morris, where it was just wide open lanes for Alfred to run through because the defense always had to keep one eye on Robert Griffin. And I feel like it's almost the same thing here, but it's even worse now or it's even harder now. I wouldn't say worse, but it's even harder to defend now because you got Cliff, who I think is just in his bag right now. Him and Jaden are literally like this. They're in lockstep with everything they're doing right now. And on top of that, Jaden Daniels is a much better passer than RG3. So not only you got to defend the run game with Brian Robinson or Mick Nichols or Eckler, whoever is in the backfield, and you got to defend Jaden Daniels. Now, if he pulls it down and decides to do an RPO, now you got those wide open lanes. Who would have known he could throw in the middle of the field? The middle of the field is wide open to Terry and Noah Brown. You got Luke McCaffrey coming on drag routes and crossing routes. So, yeah, Cliff Kingsbury deserves a lot of credit. This offense deserves a lot of credit. And, yeah, he just got to keep evolving the offense because, again, everyone knows that in Arizona it was kind of one of those things where the offense would start off hot and they kind of – once defenses kind of figured them out, they got stifled. So hopefully Cliff can keep this going.
Yeah, and you brought up the name Jeremy McNichols. 2 touchdowns on the day, 8 carries for 68 yards, averaging 8.5 per carry. The 2 touchdowns, I mean, you brought up Anthony Lynn, and I think that's perfect for what we're talking about here. Because in the years past, when the running backs had that open alley, let's say you saw that crease open up on the right or left at the outside, they weren't taking it. They were just running straight ahead, doing what they were like. You're seeing them actually adapt and being able to get upfield, take advantage of that extra yardage, and that Jeremy McNichols touchdown run to the outside. You weren't playing with us when we were playing on the turf fields in Germantown in flag football, but one of the best plays I've ever.
I played there like that one season
with Derek Morgan scored that touchdown when he juked down the sideline and he tiptoed literally. He had his tiptoes.
You're talking about we played it like night games, right?
Yeah, and he tiptoes on the sideline to get the touchdown. Because obviously someone's trying to grab your flag, but like that Jeremy McNichols touchdown reminded me a lot of that, and it's phenomenal to see because it's just a masterful performance of just physical capability, and I love what I'm seeing out of the running game because the running game is fueling the passing game. They're not having to rely strictly on the passing game in order to move down the field. The running game is potent as it is, and they're able to create that yardage to be able to get upfield. I'm ecstatic for where this football team is right now. There's not much complaints you could, especially after this game. Typically, we'd be able to sit here and pile on the defense that the defense needs to do. The defense did their job today, man. Like there was at one point that we were saying, we were like, well, can the offense do a little something here? Because the defense are getting off the field, and we don't know how often this is going to happen.
Look, they got 2 back-to-back stops. I was looking at my TV like, I need to like refresh my TV, like switch the channel, turn it back. Like, did I just see them get 2 stops in a row? 2 punts back-to-back for our defense to stop them? I was like, man, like, all right, well, we're on to something today. I can see it.
I got you. Now, but let's answer some fan questions before we are joined by our guest here because we had a couple submitted. This one from Yam Sensei in the Discord. Thank you, Yam. He says, not counting Tampa Bay, who do you see as our first real challenge of the season now, and why?
I mean, I feel like every week is a challenge because it's a week-to-week league. Like every team is going to play differently every week. Like we just saw Tampa Bay come out against. I want to say they played Detroit last week. Didn't look that well. Baker Mayfield looked off, only threw for a touchdown, ran for 1. They lost that game. They come out against the Eagles this week, and they're on fire. Baker Mayfield's on fire. So it's a week-to-week league. So, but I would say and then with the Browns, you got the Browns coming up next week. Nick Chubb's practicing. I'm pretty sure he's not gonna like be practicing this week and then be activated and come back all in 1 week. But who knows? Nick Chubb is crazy like that. So that'll be definitely a threat. But I mean, not to look too far ahead. Obviously, I would say that the Ravens. The game in Baltimore. I want to think it's in Baltimore in a couple of weeks. I think that everyone's expecting that to get flexed to a Sunday night football game big time matchup and for the battle of the Beltway type thing. So I would just say, looking forward, I would say the Ravens would be our toughest test going forward.
Right now, the first real challenge of the season is going to be the Browns, and that's how they have to consider it. I mean, this is a week to week league. You can look great against the Cardinals, but if you lay an egg against the Browns, the conversation starts to change, and it's like, oh, were we getting out ahead of our skis? Oh, here's Cliff Kingsbury coming back, not being able to produce points. Like, they got Myles Garrett and company there. That's a very good team that you have to take very seriously, and I'm sure.
We played against them last year, or 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago with Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke in that game, and everyone thought going in, Deshaun Watson hasn't been playing that good. Whatever. Da, da, da,
And
da.
then he came out
He
humming.
come
Yeah.
out and had one of his best games against us. So you never know, like you said, week to week.
Absolutely, and they have that running game that can get going, and I wouldn't put it past Cleveland to be able to start Nick Chubb. It seems like whenever these guys have injuries like T. Higgins, they somehow are able to come out against us, right?
Man.
But the next question we have, this is from Jeff Miles. How does it feel after all these years to be considered a good team? Let's take this in, fellas.
Yeah, feels good. I think we talked about it in like the beginning of the show. Like it feels good to like watch football on Sundays. It feels good to just have like not anxiety for a whole entire 4 quarter game, but maybe like anxiety for like maybe like one or two drives during the game because I was like I wouldn't like I don't even know. Like I'm over here kind of like trying to like find the words for it, but it's just fun to be a fan again. It's all happy like I haven't even seen one argument on Twitter with the Washington Commanders like fan base on like days. I feel like so like
Do you want me to
I just feel
start one
like
right now?
I mean go ahead. I feel
Brandon
like we need some type
Ayuk,
of come on man, don't do that. I feel like we need some type of normalcy, but no, I mean to answer the question, I feel like it's a great time to be a fan. It's a great time to. Everyone thought that this was like in the works and this was coming. Everyone's always said that Washington is just a sleeping fan base and like a sleeping giant ready to be awoken. They just needed that one little spark of excitement and hope to get them back, and it seems like Jaden Daniels is that hope.
yeah, honestly, what does it feel like, Jeff? Like I don't even look. I don't. They've always been a good team, right? In my personal opinion. But can they be a great team? And that's what I'm looking forward to. Okay, I want to see a great team, and they're still figuring things out. Tackling still seems to be an issue. James Conner was running at will early on in that game, but look, they are a good team at the moment. I'm looking forward to being a great team. But how does it feel right now? I said this in the Discord. Have you ever seen Super Troopers? At the end of the movie, they bust that party and that guy runs up from the basement and he's like, I love acid. Like that's me right now, dude. Like that's how I'm feeling about this football team. Because how many times have we complained and have we said, like, why can't we ever have a game that we just blow them out like we feel comfortable? You
Yep.
know? You know what I'm saying? And this is that game. So let's take that
Yeah.
in. Let's embrace that to say for the first time
Look,
in a very long time, we're sitting here when we didn't have to sweat in the fourth quarter thinking everything was going to blow up. Like let's take that in.
dog,
Listen.
how many years we've been watching games together, watching like talking about the games and whatnot, and I've been saying one good half, one bad half.
Right.
You don't think today I was looking at that first half like, oh, we are balling, we're kicking their ass right now, but I'm like, I expect them to kind of make a push in the second half, make it a little bit interesting. And you started to see like, okay, like they're starting to get a little bit of momentum. Washington's offense kind of not really stifled a little bit, but we saw Tress Wiggett on the field today. Shout out to him. But you saw that they were starting to get a little bit of momentum, and then you come out second half, boom, score off break, just kill all that momentum, and yeah, and then yeah. So I forgot what I was gonna say, but I don't know.
And shout out to Tyler Owens. He was battling a shoulder injury, kept coming into that game and kept like he was still tackling even after the injury. It just goes to show that's a hard frick tough kid, man. And credit to him for continuing to
Yeah.
come out there and play and work his butt off. But look, let's embrace it. Let's enjoy this moment because starting tomorrow, we're moving on to the Cleveland Browns. The next question we have is from Tim Towner Hall, and his question is 0 sacks today. Were we that good or was Arizona that bad? Arizona gave up 4 sacks. We gave up 0.
Yeah, I mean they had some injuries up front, so I mean, look, you're supposed to take advantage of guys that are not their frontline players. So your starters are supposed to be better than their second string or their rotational players. So offensive line did what they were supposed to do. I also credit Jaden Daniels because him moving in the pocket, him getting out of stuff, him being aware enough to be like, okay, let me get outside, create another throwing lane, create some more space for my guys to like do their thing, get their blocks off. Definitely helped out as well. So offensive line, everyone thought this was going to be a problem coming in. That's why I said shout out to Bobby Johnson, shout out to Anthony Lynn with the running game, and then shout out to Cliff with like knowing his personnel, being able to get the quick game going, get the running game going, being able to take the pressure off the guys up front in the passing game.
My man, yes, and was it's not that Arizona is that bad. This is a good unit from Arizona, but the fact of the matter is the way that the offense operates in such a quick manner with the run game, with the read option, it really does force things to happen quickly. And if you don't have those speed rushers, it's hard to get home. But that being said, we are now joined by our guest, our friend of this show, one of the best guests that we've ever had, Mr. Anthony Armstrong, former wide receiver of the Redskins. Thank you for joining us, Anthony, for speeding home from Walmart. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What's going on? I'm sorry. I am eating. I got my kids getting ready for bed, man. How y'all doing?
Cloud9. And what's up, little man? How you
What
doing?
up?
Cloud9, Anthony. And my first question to you, I have to ask you, because you being a former wide receiver, knowing offensive systems, working with Kyle Shanahan and others, what makes this offense so effective at the moment?
Cliff Kingsbury is cooking. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury is cooking, and they are keeping teams off balance. They are doing a great job of navigating. Oh, got another kid coming over here. I got a lot of them, y'all. There's another one. No, Cliff Kingsbury is cooking. He's in his bag. That running game is being effective, and it's kind of a pick your poison thing, right? Now you're starting to really see uh him scheme the other receivers open, and Jaden is getting to those receivers. He's going from one to two to three. He's working his way through progressions, and it's like anything that you throw this guy's way, he's able to handle it, and that's tough to defend. Whenever you can't do anything about it, Mike, Kyle, it just you just got to sit back there and fight, and Commanders are coming out on top
Yeah,
as of late.
those defenders, they were tired, man. That no huddle was getting upfield on them. And to your point, Alamadi Zacchaeus, 6 receptions for 85 yards. Terry McLaurin, 7 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown, which was just beautiful in itself. I'm so glad that Terry's getting some stats to help him out a little bit.
10 targets,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
people were crapping on my boy. Sorry, Hall.
No, that was glad you brought up Terry. 'Cause that was going to be my question. Like, how happy are you that Terry finally looks like he has a guy that can consistently not only scheme him open, get him open, but a guy that can get him the ball consistently. And then just as someone that played receiver, former receiver, how great is it that when you as a receiver where the ball is just where it's supposed to be every single time, it just makes your job just like 10 times easier, right?
Man, I tell you, starting with the second part first. Whenever the ball is just placed right in your hands and it just lands right there, it's like catching a loaf of bread, man.
Yep.
It's a beautiful thing. That is special, because it works the way that you're practicing it to work, right? Hey, throw it on the outside shoulder. You're going to spin outside. Those things are starting to happen in the game, and it becomes automatic. It's not just, hey, man, just catch it, and then we'll figure out what to do afterwards. So, Jaden's accuracy, being able to put the ball on the right type of shoulders, high, low, that's showing up. And I love the fact that he's taking chances with throws, but he's throwing it in places that it's either going to be incomplete or it's going to be one hell of a catch by one of his receivers. So it was a throw to Terry McLaurin on the left side, and it was too high. But I'm not mad at it because it was up there, and it was like, hey, Terry's come down with these in the past. That type of trust is going to help build this team throughout the season. But seeing Terry McLaurin involved early, often, and frequently, oh my goodness. It felt good. I would have loved to see some higher numbers on the receiving yard side of things, but man, I ain't tripping. 10 targets. He get in the end zone. This is the type of performance and type of attention that he needs to get every single week, right? Find ways to get him open. He's running as number two up the seam. Generally, you catch him as number one on the outside. So he's in different positions just to get him the ball, get him some touches. And I think Cliff Kingsbury understands. He's like, hey, I got to get my guy going. I got to get him rolling. And they're just all everybody's just blinking right now. That old school college football, everybody's blinking right now. The stadium pulse is jumping, so it's a good place to be.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you about the defense. What did the defense do differently in this game than they have in weeks
Tackle.
prior? That's true. Because Arizona, they only had 181 yards. They had 181 yards rushing, which is not good. But passing only gave up 115 yards. What would you say besides tackling? What was so different in this game?
Man, I think if whatever speech somebody gave a speech, and maybe it'll come out later on, but somebody gave a speech over this time in Arizona because that defense was different. They were tackling, like we said. Jeremy Chin was flying around, smacking
Mm.
people. The DBs were being sticky. They weren't afraid of the matchup of Marvin Harrison Jr. Shout out to Benjamin St. Juice for being able to take that one on and handle that. I mean, I'll take a touchdown. That's fine. Like the guy's a really good football player. I'll take that. But you didn't go out there and get gashed. And frankly, secondary stepped up. We are calling them out like, guys, y'all getting known for 100-yard receivers. Y'all gonna do it again, and what you gonna do? You gonna step up? They stepped up. Defensive line. Hey, Allen Payne, y'all aren't doing anything. Sure, you're getting doubled, but you're getting paid 22 and $21 million. They showed up, right? And Dorrance Armstrong and the rest of that. Some of the linebackers are getting in on the action. So you're seeing a defense that's starting to believe, communicate together. They're growing, and it's showing up on the field, man. I mean, they're playing fast, they're playing aggressive. I love seeing Emmanuel Forbes stick his little shoulder in there every now and again to make a tackle. So I love that, man. There's some energy, there's some fire that's going on, and they're going to be able to carry this momentum right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The linebackers absolutely showed out today. Bobby Wagner with 11 tackles, a half sack, and one tackle for loss. Frankie Louvu with 7 tackles and a half sack. They got after Kyler Murray tonight with 4 sacks on the day. You talked about Dorrance Armstrong. They did what they needed to get off the field, and those sacks were pivotal. Obviously, Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne getting into the mix as well, like you talked about. Sorry, Hall.
No, it's all good. So coming into the season, everyone was like, this season is all about Jaden Daniels, like figuring out if we have a guy. Let's figure out the foundational pieces. This is a building year, and then let's attack next year. This offseason, let's attack next year. Year two and year three, that's when let's kind of take that jump. Let's take that growth. But as you can see, they're 3-1 right now. They're playing great offensive football. Defense just looks like it's hopefully starting to find their footing and come around. Do you think that, or they're 3-1 right now, a quarter way through the season, has your outlook on the season changed, or you think that it should still all be about like finding the foundation, Jaden Daniels, keeping him healthy, and all that?
Man, look, you gonna find the foundation. But coming into this season, I've said it plenty of other times, and I think folks probably think I'm wonky for it, just being the eternal optimist. I said, look, at the best, I want this team to win the NFC East. I said that coming out all season. I'm like, hey, there's some tough games in there, but you may find your way to 8, 9, 10 wins. All right. And on the low end, I would think they could find their way into that seventh position in the playoffs. So I could see them winning 7, 8 games. That's what I kind of felt was like, hey, you know what? If they kind of hit things and get into a pretty good stride, they can find their way into a playoff conversation. Am I expecting them to go win the Super Bowl this year? No, I do not. I think that something in the next 3 to 5 years is a realistic timeline to start making some plans for that. But where they're sitting right now, much better than I expected. And it's not necessarily record, but it's how they've won. Going into Cincinnati, didn't really expect them to win that game. I wanted to see them fight. I wanted to see them scratch and claw and see how they were going to show up. The game against Tampa, they looked outclassed, but you got a lot of young guys, a new team going up against some veterans, and I understand that. But the way that they won this game here was decided. They run up some points. The defense showed up and showed out. Like this is a win that makes you want to say, oh, this might be something that's real. So this team is where I thought they were going to be at Hall. I felt like they could be in a 3-1. 2-2 is kind of like, hey, at the worst, come out of it 2-2. 3-1 is a beautiful place to be. So hey, just a few more wins and you got to start thinking about playing that extra football game.
Right. And just thinking about like years past, like quarter way through the season, it was kind of everyone was doom and gloom. But it just seems like I guess my question is like because everyone just seems like so much more happier. Everyone seems like a lot more bought in. And everyone knew Ron Rivera and like those guys were like a good guy and like
Yeah.
everyone just like he was like building a good culture. Everyone assumed he was and whatnot. But do you think it's just as simple as just better coaching and the quarterback position is better, or do you really think it's
Man.
just like just something overall is just different about how things are now?
Man, I tell you, there's a weird juju about it, and I do think that's a thing, that there's just like a weird juju. Sometimes the stars align. I mean, I think just from the coaching staff, it's kismet. It's something special that how they're all built. Everybody's kind of falling back into the positions that they're better at. I mean, listening to the TV copy, they were saying Dan Quinn is kind of happy to not have to call the defense. He's able to just run the team, and what he's great at is leading men and getting the most out of the players. They spoke about that these coaches give a damn about the players and they want to have a relationship with them. And when you're a player and you have a coach that's doing that and they really care, like they care, you can go and ball out. You can go out there and play carefree. And if you make a mistake, the coach is going to pat you on the butt and say, "No worries, we'll get it fixed." Now, I think you're seeing that type of coaching pay off. You can see how this team is energy. And when the last time you seen Terry McLaurin dance after a touchdown?
Yeah.
Right? Like Terry was dancing, okay? Like the vibes are immaculate, to quote Jalen Brunson. Like it's a good vibe going on right now. And can you say coaching too? Oh, sure. Sure. You can give a nod to the coaching, but it's more than X's and O's. It's about that relationship with the people that you're working with and getting the most out of them. And everything Dan Quinn has said all off season about learning the learners, building a relationship with his players. When you do those things, you can ask somebody to go run through a wall for you, and they'll be willing to do it.
And not too shabby for an island of misfit toys. I'll tell you that right now. Anthony,
Basically.
how much time do you have for us tonight? I don't want to be doing too much on you. I know you got to hit.
Man, give me 7 minutes. All right, 7 minutes.
All
I
right.
can do that.
All right. Last couple questions I have for you.
All right.
The roller coaster of the experience, because obviously the hangover from the Monday night game, Dan Quinn immediately brought the team out to Arizona, and they wanted to facilitate the kind of excitement to make sure the guys are keeping their eye on the ball. As someone who played in the pros, that has gone through some big wins, what is that a difficult thing to kind of overcome in a way?
Man, I tell you honestly, that week away is probably one of the better reasons that they had such a great performance.
Mm.
Because if you're at home, right, everybody in town feeling good coming out the Monday night, everybody, hey, I see you at the game, you looking good, Mike. I saw you, Jaden. Okay, you kind of get the feeling that drinking that Kool-Aid a little bit. Now you all the way across the country. Only thing you get to focus on is football and your team, right? Building the relationship off of what you've already had was a scrappy game against New York, a come from behind win against the Bengals, and now y'all hanging out together, right? Like that's pretty cool, and that's very smart for him to do that because I think it showed up on that field. And I've never had to be gone that long. But I can tell you from the sake of the routine and like being able to keep and build that momentum, getting everybody away and being together is going to help. There's another thing I think is going to help this team. So I think that's huge that they were over there.
My man. Second to last question for you, Anthony. What one underappreciated player that deserves a shout out after their performance today?
Oh man, I think, everybody's going to say Jeremy McNichols, and I think that's easy, right? And but he does deserve the praise. So give him some love. I'm gonna pick the guy that everybody had picked on, and that was Emmanuel Forbes.
Okay.
And I think it's his willingness to get in there and be physical and throw his body around after all the question marks and after how the season started, and coming up after a surgery. Like um, I give him some love. And then one other one I gotta actually shout out too is Jeremy Chin, because those first couple of weeks was getting a little. I was like, I don't know now. You
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, but he showed up this week. I mean, he was bringing hits and was downhill and bringing some force behind him. So shout out to those guys, man. They really stepped it up this week.
My
So
man.
they got a challenge next week too.
My last question for you. I'm not sure. I think it's a difficult question, but what is the team's identity at this point?
Physicality. I mean, you heard what Dan Quinn said. They want fast and physical people. And I think that's what you're looking at, right? The offense operates fast, but then at the same breath, like they go turn around and hand it off to Brian Robinson, and he's going to finish downhill. So you can't think that this is going to be an air raid. I love the marriage of the Cliff Kingsbury air raid and the Brian Johnson. I swear that he's got some deep influence as well from just what they did in Philly. I'm manifesting that, but the way that the offense is built together, because that running attack is something that you would historically say was missing. So for them to be as physical as they are right now is unexpected, especially with the quarterback that they come in with. So I would say physicality.
My man, that was actually a fantastic answer to that question. Because I was trying to think of it as like, I'm not 100% sure. It just seems like firepower at this point. But Anthony, I can't thank you enough for joining us. I know you're running around. Go enjoy your night, sir. Try to catch up with this Sunday night football. Apparently, Derrick Henry is just going AWOL all over the Bills defense. But before you get out of here, I'd just like to plug your social media handle and your show, just in case anyone watching hasn't followed you yet, sir.
Absolutely, man. Give me a follow at Rated Armstrong and check out the show at Believe Commanders, BLEAV Commanders. I'll check it out there.
My man. Anthony, have a good night, sir. I always appreciate your time,
Appreciate you,
man.
man.
Yes, sir. Y'all be good.
You too. All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man, Mr. Anthony Armstrong. I'm pretty sure Anthony has been on the show more than Reed has in the past month.
Hey, no lies. That's funny.
Now, let's wrap up this episode, boys, by answering some fan questions. This one from Deluxe in the Discord. Hall, what was more fun, Monday night or today?
Good question. Good question. Good question. It's a close one, but I would say Monday night just because it was primetime football. Like, even though there was another game going on, I feel like everyone stopped watching that game because the Bills were beating down the Jags. All eyes were on Jaden Daniels. He just had literally like a historic performance on Monday Night Football in primetime. And I feel like that was like the coming out party for the whole rest of the nation to be like, oh, damn, like Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, like that offense is like kind of legit. Then it just carried over for like this week. So I love this game. I love this week. I love what they put on the field today. It was like a whole team win this week. Defense played like booty juice last week. But just because the offense was so just crazy historically good last week with Jaden Daniels, I'd say last week was a little bit better. And it was supposed to be like Bengals supposed to be considered an AFC juggernaut, Super Bowl contender, whatnot. Arizona's kind of like us, like an upstart kind of rebuilding type thing. So yeah, close question, but I go with last week.
By far, it was today. And it's specifically because of what we talked about earlier. The fact that this team on defense was able to get up the field. They were able to get after Kyler Murray. They were able to force some turnovers. The offense just generating at a high level all the way down the field. And we kind of talked about the fact that it was a comfortable win. Like, this is so much freaking fun to watch. And I will never forget, like, this past couple, like, this is entirely different than 2012. You know, like, this is a systematic ass whooping from start to finish, and it was awesome to see. I loved every single second of it. The Bengals were able to come back a little bit. In this game, they stepped their foot on their throat, and they did not allow them to get off the ground. You know, they put some elbows in there. They had Dan Quinn come over, drop some elbows on them. You know, Jerry McNichols coming in, being able to like Bobby Boucher, pop it in the eyeballs. It was a lot of fun today, and I think it's a lot more fun than Monday night, just to be perfectly honest with you. I don't care about the national audience. I'm more so about the dominance, and the dominance is way more fun than anything because we've been on the other side of dominance for many, many games, and it just sucks the soul out of you. And to be the one snatching it is awesome. It's just such a great feeling to go through it, and they answered the call. Because we've seen great games like the Packers game, the Raiders game in years past, where they do really well. The next week they fall off. The fact that they were able to do that on Monday night, travel the other side of the country, and do this and dominate in the fashion that they did without Austin Eckler, it just goes to show you that this team really is a true football team and not something that we have honestly, in my personal opinion, we have not seen before. In Washington. That being said, it's really it's almost like when I first got together with my wife. It's like, well, you're like, is this for real? Is she really interested in me? Like, there's no way. Like, no, this is legit, man.
Now, to your point, it's been a while. Like, how many times we talked about like, can we just see like a full team, just like win where like the offense plays good, does their thing, defense plays good, does their thing, special teams does good, does their thing. Even though Tress was only on the field for one punt, Siebert did his thing with the field goal kicks and the extra points. But I mean, yeah, that you made good points because how many, like you said, it feels good to be on the winning side of like a blowout instead of just watching the game and being like, bro, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew they were gonna get blown out. Like this happens all the time. Like like you said. So I can definitely see where you're coming from. I just, as someone that watches all those like from here and now and then, like watches like those like FS1 shows and like the first takes and all that, and you don't ever see the Commanders talked about on those shows ever unless it's something negative like all the stuff in the past. So for everyone to just be like just swooning over Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels, it was almost like it's like, oh, like this is what it feels like okay, like nice. So
I mean, that's cool and all. I mean, it's just gonna turn to hate sooner or later,
oh
whenever
yeah,
you
of
feel
course,
like it, you know.
of course, but that'll be even better
Even
because
Chris Sims after this game calling it a college offense still. Like, yeah, college offense will run right through dudes like Reed at Beach Week. You know, they're just going and like that's what's awesome about it. And I will say this, like I asked Anthony about the underappreciated player that deserves a shout out, and I'll say Brian Robinson. And as much as that is an easy way to answer, that one Jaden Daniels touchdown run, he's outside blocking his ass off, blocking the corner, and then that coincidentally blocks the safety. I mean, it's just that sort of aspect of the team. It's awesome to see it. So I'll say Brian Robinson. So he's getting my game beer, Brian Robinson. As much as it goes to Jaden and Brian Robinson, baby.
No, that's a good one because definitely like, a lot of people coming into the season were like, oh, I don't know about Brian Robinson. I think Eckler's going to be the number one back by the end of the season. He's the more explosive one. He's the more seasoned veteran, like more experienced running back. Had the better career, obviously. Like I'm saying, he's played longer, but even like throughout Eckler's career, you can just say he's been better than B-Rob's up to this point so far. But yeah, so that's definitely a good one. I would say, kind of like Anthony was saying, like someone that's been hated on, talked about a lot, and just been despised by the fan base.
Terry McLaurin.
And yeah, Andrew Wiley. I think Andrew Wiley had a hell of a game today.
Yes, he did. He did.
That QB run where Jaden scored the touchdown. He was the one that was like out leading the way for Jaden down the sideline. Found a red jersey, blocked him.
Badass was over there too. He pulled on that play.
Yeah, exactly.
For a center, that's difficult, my man.
Exactly. And there wasn't a lot of plays where I saw him getting beat. Like we saw last week, he was getting beat inside when he had outside help and stuff like that. And it was kind of just like, come on, Wiley, you're still doing this type of stuff. I feel like this week he was just on his A game, had a hell of a game. No penalties, I don't think. You didn't hear his name called out once, which is a good thing if you're playing a tackle position. So, yeah, shout out to Andrew Wiley, a guy that's been beat down by this fan base, but I feel like he's in a better position this year with the coaching and the quarterback to really show that he hasn't really been as bad as everyone thought he's been.
Yeah, and Brandon Coleman, I believe, got an 84 grade from PFF for in his game tonight, and obviously he's performing well along with Cornelius Lucas. 0 sacks given up. Being able to run. Look, Washington, I talked about Arizona's total yards in this game was 296 yards. Washington had 449 with 216 on the ground and 233 passing. And that is just it's beautiful to see that. And everyone gets credit for it, obviously. But my goodness, what a masterful performance by the offense, just being able to move down the field, even after throwing that interception, which shouldn't have even been an interception. He caught it with one hand, bobbled it, somehow still caught it. It's kind of crazy, but I don't even count it at this point. Jaden responded the way he's supposed to, was not hampered by it whatsoever. People were saying, "Oh, he got it out. It's out of the way now." Like, who gives a shit? Let's get the dub, dude. I don't give a crap
Right.
about an interception. Let's just keep going, man. And I'm glad that they felt bad for Tress Way. They wanted to give him one punt. They were like, you know what? Tress has been chilling for a while. I know he's been icing.
You know what? He's been stealing money these past couple of weeks. Let's give him something to do.
Exactly. But the best thing of it all is that Arizona is still paying Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, I
So
know.
they paid Cliff Kingsbury to kick their fucking ass today, dude.
I love how they mentioned that on the broadcast too. They were like, "Yeah, he came out revenge game against Arizona." And they were like, "Still paying him, by the way." And I was just like, "Ha."
That man,
So
you
great.
paid that man to run a clinic on that defense. Now, the next question we have is from Tim Towner. Week 4 is almost complete. Name a team other than Washington that is not what you thought they'd be, either better or worse.
Better.
I'll start. And I was hating on the Vikings. I said the Vikings were possibly in contention for the number 1 overall pick. Those motherfuckers. Look, you have always hyped up Kevin O'Connell. And my goodness, does he deserve... Look, I think Dan Quinn deserves Coach of the Year based on what's happening here. Everything, obviously,
Yeah, it's a
along
tight
with...
race.
But Kevin O'Connell, what he's done with the Vikings is nothing short of a miracle. I mean, my goodness, like Brian Flores on defense, they obviously had some devastating things happen to that defense, and they have not missed a beat.
Yeah, nah, I was gonna say the Viking as well, just because everyone had high hopes for JJ McCarthy, or everyone had hopes for the Vikings with JJ McCarthy coming in, just based off the preseason and what he had shown to that point. I've always been a big Kevin O'Connell fan as a coach, just because I saw what he was doing as a quarterback coach, working his way through the rankings. He's friends with like McVay and all those guys, so I knew the offensive system was going to be like high intelligent, like high high proficiency and efficiency. And he's just like I said, a quarterback guru. What he's doing with Sam Darnold is like almost like mind blowing, because people were ready to throw Sam Darnold in the trash.
Right.
And look what Kevin O'Connell's doing with him. So I would say the Vikings definitely won. A team that I would say is doing worse than I thought they would be. I'd say the Jags. I didn't think the Jags were going to be winning of the AFC South, but I thought they would be in contention for a playoff spot. And I thought Trevor Lawrence would, because go back to last year, the first half of that season, I believe they were like 8-2, first in the South. Trevor Lawrence was playing like not really MVP, but like MVP considerations or talks. Like he's in the race. And then just for him to come out this year, do what he's done for the first quarter of the season. Today, he had a pretty good game today, but for the first couple games of the season, he's looked like not like Trevor Lawrence, not looked like the prince that was promised, as Nick Wright calls him. And yeah, I just think that Doug Peterson's a really good coach too as well. Did not expect him to be. I think they're like 1-3 or something like that right now.
I think a team that does deserve a shout out is the Steelers. Their identity, they've stayed
Gavin, all he does is talk about Justin Fields. I'm just so.
Yeah, but it's just like
But they're playing good though.
They're all like their identity as a team. They stick with it. Their defense is able to keep the points down. Justin Fields just does enough to be able to win the game for them. Obviously, they lost today, but that was a surprising one for me. I'll just personally say that I didn't know how everything was going to gel. They just find a way to win, and credit to them. Now, the next question we have in the Discord before we move to Twitter, real quick, from Andy Lockhart in the UK from the 1 Point Safety Show. Oi!
Boy,
We seem to have penalties in the fourth quarter of this game and last game. Do you think it is down to fatigue, either mental or physical fatigue?
well, some of the penalties today, like the taunting one that Jeremy Nichols got, was like ridiculous.
I
but
thought that was look, I'm right there with you, because it seemed like he was literally just flicking the ball up in celebration. It didn't seem like he was doing it at him. It just seemed like the guy just happened to be in front of him.
Oh no, that was the Zacchaeus one. But yeah, I agree
my
with
bad,
that
man.
one too. Yeah, no, I agree with that one too. I feel like he didn't know he was there. He just got up and flicked the ball, and it just happened to be in the direction of the player. He just happened to be standing there.
Right.
The one with McNichols when he scored his second touchdown, and he did like the Brandon Cooks like arrow shot thing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the referee was salty because whenever McNichols scored, he kind of like flicked the ball towards the ref, and the ref had his hand out like to get like handed to him or whatever. And McNichols just kind of flipped it in the air. And then they did the arrow like thing, which I'm like, I've seen players do that like hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Never been penalized before.
Isn't it
Why'd
supposed
you?
to be like if it's a gun, it's
He
a
got a gun,
penalty?
exactly. He
Yeah.
did like a slingshot or like a bow and arrow type thing. That's why I was like, that's ridiculous. But as far as like the other penalties go, I mean, I guess you could probably blame it on like mental fatigue. A lot of penalties come from like mental fatigue and physical fatigue because what I'm saying, like you're beat down mentally and physically. But yeah, I would just say it's definitely got to stop shooting yourselves in the foot. There was multiple games now where they've gotten big, huge chunk gains, gotten into the red zone, and had drive killers or play killers because of that. So, excuse me, definitely got to get mentally right, physically right. I know it was. I mean, they were inside of a like cooled stadium or whatever, so I wouldn't blame it on that. But yeah, I would just say it's like just you got to stop shooting yourself in the foot. It is what it is.
Basically, Andy, I don't think it's due to mental or physical fatigue, right? Have you ever been in a fight, right? There was this one occurrence that I had with somebody that, I was on top of them. I had my hand on their throat, and I was just letting them know that, I could end your life right now. Just keep pummeling your face into the earth. And all they could do was scratch at my neck like a cat. That's all they could do. That's all they could do. Well,
Sounds vague. This sounds really familiar.
it does. And what I see in this game, the reason why I'm saying this is because that's what the Cardinals were doing. Is they were getting their ass kicked, and so they were going a little bit harder. They were clawing, trying to find anything, and so when they do that desperation attempt, you kind of have to take up with that based on what's happening, and so you kind of overdo things to try to make up for it. And that's what I saw with the Sam Cosmi holding kind of thing, where just trying to make sure nothing goes on. And look, there were a couple other penalties that weren't called that I personally saw, but I'm not going to sit here and like talk about it very much because look, we got the dub. It's all that matters to me at the end of the day. But basically what it is a team getting their ass kicked and trying to do anything possible to create a play to kind of help things. And so they overexert. And so that's why some guys are doing a little bit too much because they're trying to facilitate that. And it's hard to do that in a form of desperation sometimes, just fightly speaking. Now, the next question that we have, I'm not going to ask this other question by Andy Lockhart. He said, why all the hate towards Brandon Ayuk? But we don't need to talk about that, all right? The last question that
We'll
we
be on here
have.
for another like 2 hours talking about this.
Next question from Tony Franchise. Is this a dream? Do we really have our franchise quarterback? If this is a dream, I don't want to wake up.
Well, just keep on sleeping because you can call it a dream, but it's a dream that's coming into reality because a lot of people were coming into this like praising Caleb Williams, and rightfully so. He was a great college talent or whatever. Made some really crazy explosive plays, but it was just really crazy that Jaden Daniels was having the season that he was having, Heisman winner, but all the hype was on Caleb Williams, who was not having the best of seasons, but he was the generational prospect. And
Crazy. They added a bunch of weapons for him, too, on the outside of
yeah,
wide receiver. I know. It's crazy.
yeah, and like I was saying, like we were talking in the group chat the other day, and I was like, usually when I know I'm not even gonna address that. Usually when, usually when you put generational in front of a player, and especially with the quarterback position, more times than not, you usually don't end well for that player, and they usually don't live up to the hype that was put on them pre-draft and coming into the season. So I would say that we found our guy. It seems like it's only a quarter way through the season. You never know, but it just seems like this is the dude. A lot of there was other people out there like Lou Riddick and guys like that said Dan Orlovsky at one point was like he's quarterback one. The Bears should really consider taking Jaden Daniels, and it seems like they probably should have done that.
No, for Jaden's sake, I wouldn't want that at all. You see what that could have happened there. Look,
No, I'm saying that they should have considered taking him at number one, not just automatically just locked on Caleb Williams and said he's our guy.
Oh, well,
I'm glad they did that because we got the prize.
Yeah, flip-flopped. I don't think Caleb would be performing the way that Jaden is. No, this is not a dream, Tony. As much as it almost seems that way with how they're performing. Do we have our franchise quarterback? I mean, the guy is breaking records, and he's up there with the names of Drew Brees and Tom Brady based on his performance thus far. It's kind of crazy considering the fact that they don't have a wide receiver one. They don't have weapons on the outside. Luke McCaffrey is not a weapon, and They need to add more guys in order to help the offensive and the rookie out to be able to facilitate and do well. And they're putting up 42 points per game. You know, they outscore the Bengals. It's honestly, it's crazy, but credit to Cliff Kingsbury.
I was gonna say it's not even really about the weapons and all that. I would say it's more about Cliff Kingsbury versus Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron is really not a really good offensive coordinator. It seems like, and it seems like
Such
Cliff
a
King.
convenient excuse.
I'm just saying if Cliff Kingsbury was OCing in Chicago and was doing this for Caleb Williams, and Shane Waldron was here doing what he's doing in Chicago for Jaden Daniels, it'd be a rerun of Sam Howell last year, is what I'm saying. So like yeah, like the weapons, like all the stuff is there, but I'm just saying like it's not really about the weapons per se. It's more about the coaching.
It's just proving my argument of what I said in the past. But it's fine.
No, you said it's not about
I said if you add more weapons, then it's going to create this sort of situation like Sam Howell was in last year, where you're putting emphasis on passing the ball a lot, where the emphasis needs to be in running the football, having a solid running game in order to help.
I feel like
the
if they had more
young
weapons, they would
quarterback.
still be running the ball because that's what Dan Quinn has been about. That's what he said he's going to be about coming into this. So that's why they're already talking about adding a receiver. They want to add a receiver at the trade line. Probably not going to happen, but you know how those rumors go. But they wouldn't be wanting to add another receiver to add to the offense, more weapons, if that was the case. If it was just all about not the weapons, you know what I'm saying?
No, I don't. Because if they added Jaden's best friend, there'd be an emphasis on passing the football. I'm just saying that right
No,
now.
they wouldn't, because I don't think Cliff Kingsbury would do that, just like he's not doing it now. There's not an emphasis to get Terry the ball. There's an emphasis to get Terry the ball like when it's needed, but there's more emphasis on the run game and all that stuff. Like,
You can say that till the cows come home, but it's not true. The running the football has been pivotal in helping Jaden Daniels out, and that's the
of
emphasis.
course, I never. You're acting like I was like saying like, oh, we got to pass the ball 50 times, like Eric Bieniemy did, like weapons.
No, you never said that. No.
But I'm just saying like, yeah, I'm just saying like at the end of the day, like yes, I obviously like more weapons is going to help offense out, but it also comes down to the coaching behind the weapons. Like Shane Waldron is not coaching the weapons correctly, whereas Cliff Kingsbury doesn't have all the weapons that Chicago does, but he's coaching better than Shane Waldron, so better product.
Yeah, and I think the running the football makes that a hell of a lot
They
better.
ran the football today in Chicago. You see what they did in Chicago today? They ran the football.
And they won. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
so
it's not really
also-
the weapons. It's more of like the coaching.
No, this is not a dream, Tony, and I hope we don't ever wake up from it, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, in that last drive against the Giants, I saw something develop with this football team, and they have continued to produce it for the next following two games. And I don't know how much longer it's going to run, but I hope it continues to do so. I think that we have the quarterback to do it, to be able to not let it get to his head. I think we have the coaching staff to facilitate it and to continue the success going forward. Not only that, I think that we have the coaching staff to kind of really gear this thing to push everybody to their strengths. And credit to Anthony Lynn, to Cliff Kingsbury, to Joe Witt. They deserved this win today, especially Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's my freaking dude, man. He's really, really good head coach, as much as Reed didn't want him when he first was flirted out there. He was the right man for the job. And credit to Josh Harris, Adam Peters and company. They made the right decision, and we are seeing history right in front of our eyes. It's amazing. Don't want to take it for granted at all, because people are going to look. You're already hearing about people saying the Bengals were a bad defense, blah, 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 even though they forced 2 interceptions on Pat Mahomes and made that a game. And then people this week are going to say, well, the Cardinals are not that good. They were they're 1-3, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. If they were 2-2, they'd be a different story.
Yeah, no, there's always an excuse when it comes to Washington and with their wins. But again, look, I get it, because to our points earlier, they really haven't handled success in the past the greatest. Like, you know, they get a big win in prime time, or they get a big win, come out and go on like a 2-3 game losing streak next. So it is what it is. But look, we're just gonna have to make people believers. You know, it is what it is. Keep on doubting us. We'll keep on putting up 35, 40 plus a game.
Absolutely. Keep doubting on Terry McLaurin. Keep doubting the weapons on this offensive team. Keep doubting them. They're going to keep doing historic numbers. It's crazy to see what they're doing. Personally, for me, I love this goddamn football team. This is so much fun. Is the Island of Misfit Toys is really humming, dude. They're running on all cylinders. Special
Also-
teams coming through. Everybody.
I just gotta make one more point because I just have to your weapons point. All I'm gonna say is, just imagine, like it. I don't even remember what I was gonna say. It's all good. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Come on, man.
No, I honestly did forget what I was gonna say. I just had like a huge brain fart. But
You're good. Last data point I wanted to say, Washington had 29 first downs to Arizona's 17. They had the same number of drives in 9
I do
total
remember
drives and 29 first downs in 9 drives. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. You said you remembered it now? Do you want to make a point?
yeah, but I don't really remember. It was like I don't really remember. So
Yeah, today's been wild.
I randomly remember and just texted in the group chat. It was like 2:00 in the morning.
It's been a taxing day for us all, my friend. I know. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap us up for this episode. You'll see us again on Wednesday. Hopefully, Hall remembers his point for Wednesday's show, and then we could say it then.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
Enjoy this damn ass whooping that we just handed to Arizona.
Dope to ass.
Thank you to Arizona for pushing some AC in that building. We really appreciate it. Thank you for paying Cliff Kingsbury to hand you that AL. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great week. Be safe. Enjoy Victory Monday.
Victory Monday. Let's get it.
Washington football. Woo!
Peace.
What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.